Afghanistan is often described through war, invasion, and instability, but that is only one part of a much deeper story. It is a landlocked country positioned between Central Asia, South Asia, and the Iranian Plateau, a location that has made it both strategically valuable and extremely difficult to control. Today, Afghanistan is officially called the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, with Kabul as its capital and largest city. Its population is estimated somewhere between 35 and 50 million, reflecting both demographic uncertainty and decades of disruption. To understand Afghanistan, the key is geography. Its mountains, passes, and borderlands have shaped trade, culture, conflict, and political power for thousands of years. Afghanistan covers more than 650,000 square kilometers, making it a large country by regional standards. It shares borders with Pakistan, Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and China, placing it beside some of Asia's most important cultural and political zones. Much of the country is mountainous, especially around the Hindu Kush, a vast range that separates northern plains from southern and southwestern areas. These mountains are not just scenery, they create natural barriers, isolate valleys, shape local identities, and make centralized rule difficult. At the same time, mountain passes have historically allowed armies, traders, migrants, and religious movements to move through the region. Afghanistan is therefore both a barrier and a bridge. Human life in Afghanistan stretches back to the Middle Paleolithic era, meaning the region has been inhabited for tens of thousands of years. Long before modern borders existed, the area connected civilizations. It lay within overlapping cultural worlds, Iranian, Central Asian, and Indian. Over time, it became a place where religions and ideas crossed paths. Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, Hinduism, and later Islam all had important roles in the region's history. Ancient settlements and trade routes helped link Afghanistan to wider networks, including the Silk Road. This made the region more than a remote mountain land. It was a meeting point of languages, beliefs, merchants, soldiers, and empires. Afghanistan is sometimes called the graveyard of empires, a phrase that captures how difficult outsiders have found it to dominate the region for long. Persians, Alexander the Great, Arab Muslim armies, Mongols, British forces, Soviet troops, and a US-led coalition all fought there or tried to shape its politics. The phrase can be oversimplified, because many empires did influence Afghanistan and sometimes controlled parts of it. But long-term control was complicated by terrain, local resistance, tribal and regional loyalties, and the cost of projecting power into remote valleys. Afghanistan's geography has repeatedly turned invasion into occupation, and occupation into exhaustion. Afghanistan was not only a place conquered by empires, it also helped generate empires. The Greco-Bactrian kingdoms arose in the broader region after Alexander's campaigns, blending Greek and local influences. Later, the Mughals, who built one of the great empires of South Asia, had roots connected to the Central Asian and Afghan world. These examples show that Afghanistan's historical role was not passive. Its cities, routes, and frontier zones could become launchpads for political power. Control of Afghan territory or nearby regions often meant access to India, Iran, and Central Asia. That is why the land was repeatedly contested, not because it was empty, but because it mattered. The modern Afghan state is usually traced to the 18th century and the rise of the Durrani Empire under Ahmad Shah Durrani. He united Pashtun tribes and built a powerful empire that stretched across parts of modern Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, and India. For many Afghans, this period marks the beginning of Afghanistan as a recognizable political entity. However, the later ruler Dost Muhammad Khan is sometimes seen as a founder of the first modern Afghan state because he worked in a world of rising imperial pressure and more defined state institutions. Afghanistan's modern identity emerged from both tribal politics and the challenge of surviving between stronger neighbors. In the 19th century, Afghanistan became a buffer state in the Great Game, the geopolitical rivalry between the British Empire and the Russian Empire. Britain, ruling India, feared Russian expansion toward the south. Russia feared British influence moving north. Afghanistan sat between them. The British launched military campaigns to control Afghan foreign policy and secure their Indian frontier. In the First Anglo-Afghan War, British forces suffered a disastrous retreat. In the Second Anglo-Afghan War, Britain achieved greater influence, especially over Afghan external affairs. But direct control remained elusive. Afghanistan's role as a buffer shaped its borders, diplomacy, and suspicion of foreign intervention. Afghanistan regained full freedom from foreign political control after the Third Anglo-Afghan War in 1919. In 1926, it became the independent Kingdom of Afghanistan. The monarchy lasted almost half a century, and while Afghanistan remained poor and largely rural, this period also saw attempts at modernization. Afghan rulers tried to balance reform with conservative social structures, tribal authority, and religious influence. Kabul often moved faster than the countryside, creating tension between central ambition and local tradition. This pattern would repeat throughout Afghan history. Governments in the capital tried to build a modern state, but power outside Kabul often remained local, negotiated, and resistant to rapid change. The modern cycle of instability began in 1973, when King Zahir Shah was overthrown by his cousin Muhammad Daud Khan. The monarchy ended, and the Republic of Afghanistan was created. Daud became president and ruled as an autocrat, attempting to modernize the country while centralizing power. But politics became increasingly polarized. In 1978, a communist revolution overthrew and assassinated Daud, establishing the Democratic Republic of Afghanistan. The new government pursued radical reforms, but those reforms triggered resistance, especially in rural and religious communities. Internal divisions among the communists made the situation worse. Afghanistan's political crisis quickly became a wider Cold War battleground. In 1979, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan to support the communist government. What followed was the Soviet-Afghan War, one of the defining conflicts of the late Cold War. Afghan Mujahideen fighters resisted Soviet forces and the Afghan communist state, receiving support from countries including the United States, Pakistan, and others. The war devastated communities, displaced millions, and militarized Afghan society. The Soviet army controlled cities and major roads, but insurgents operated from mountains, villages, and cross-border sanctuaries. By 1989, the Soviet Union withdrew. The Mujahideen had won the war militarily, but victory did not bring unity. It left behind weapons, factions, trauma, and a weakened state. After the Soviet withdrawal, Afghanistan descended into civil war. The Socialist Republic eventually collapsed, and the Peshawar Accord attempted to create the Islamic State of Afghanistan. But the agreement failed to hold, and rival Mujahideen factions fought for power, especially in and around Kabul. This chaos created the conditions for the rise of the Taliban, a movement that promised order, religious rule, and an end to warlord abuses. By 1996, the Taliban controlled most of the country and declared the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. However, their government received little international recognition, and their strict rule, especially toward women, became internationally condemned. After the September 11 attacks in 2001, a US-led invasion overthrew the Taliban government. For the next 2 decades, Afghanistan experienced war, foreign military presence, elections, reconstruction efforts, corruption, insurgency, and deep dependence on international support. In 2021, the Taliban returned to power after capturing Kabul, ending the 2001 to 2021 war. Their current government remains widely unrecognized internationally, largely due to concerns over human rights and especially the treatment of women. Afghanistan today also faces severe poverty, child malnutrition, terrorism, and one of the world's lowest levels of economic output per person. Decades of war have made recovery extraordinarily difficult. Despite these hardships, Afghanistan is rich in natural resources. It has deposits of lithium, iron, zinc, and copper, resources that could be extremely valuable in a world dependent on batteries, electronics, and infrastructure. Afghanistan is also a major producer of saffron and cashmere, products that connect its rural economy to global markets. But resources alone do not create prosperity. Mining requires security, investment, roads, expertise, legal stability, and international trust. Afghanistan's location could make it a trade hub, but its instability limits that potential. The country's future depends not only on what lies under its soil, but on whether political order, rights, and economic opportunity can be built above it. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.